the covering of your life. Let me just kind of give you a sneak peek of that. Covering of the light. It's not out. It's still there. Here's the funny thing about light, though. This is dim. We all have lamp shades on our lamps. This one doesn't have one. But if it's not shaded, that's bright. You don't really want to look into it. I've got tons of them in my face right now. Come on. And I'm like, I can't see. And that's our problem when we look into God, into the Word. We look in, it's so bright, we're like, I can't handle that. So we're like, you know what? If we know somebody that's too bright, we cover them up. Or we ask them to cover up. Classic story of that one is Moses. Moses saw God face to face. His face literally shone with light. And the Israelite people, just like when Jesus came, they were like, you know what? That's too bright. I don't really want to have to look at that every time I come to you. But it came from God. Come on. Why would you tell them, oh, that's God's brilliance coming up. You know what? Cover that up. There we go. That's better. Now I can handle it. Is it a little too hard to handle what the full Scripture or what the full thing that God calls us to do is? Sometimes it is. So we cover it up. We cover ourselves up. But here's the cool thing. Each one of us might have some kind of covering. But maybe in the deepest, darkest night of our lives, we get it deep and dark in here. What's the brightest thing in the room? A light that's covered. But what if we remove ourselves from the source of the light? What's going to occur? Darkness. When we are not connected to the light of God, we are in darkness. But if we assemble together like we are now, I know it's hard to see, but if we assemble together and we encourage the person who has gone out, you see, there's somebody now encouraging this person. Other people will begin to encourage this person because they see those around them encouraging this person. Each light that's raised towards this person is an encouragement to them. Just like Pastor was talking about with offering, we need to lift up our light. This is why we come together. We don't come to church for God because I can get God at home because He's there. I come to church so that I can share God with these people around me here and get this encouragement. But the funny thing is, we're not just light. We're not only light. We have a couple different job descriptions. And the thing is, when Jesus talked about light, there was a bunch of verses that talked about light. But before He talked about light, Jesus mentioned something else. Go ahead. You are the salt of the earth. But the salt is lost its taste. How can the salt make you good? We're also salt. When we have encouragement, there can be a transformation. Salt and light. Now, I'm not doing this to tell you that we're light and then we go out and then we become salt. That's not what this means. We're both. We should be both at all times. We should be a guiding light that's bright and shining with love and care for those that are lost. But as well, let your speech at all times be gracious, pleasant, and wisdom, seasoned as it were with salt, so that you will never be at a loss to know how you ought to answer anyone.
blood covering over me. Just like the thief did. Boom, covered, dead, heaven. But most of us, we're not sitting in that position. We've got more life to live. So we need encouragement.
See, salt, its purpose is to preserve. It was one of the biggest uses for salt. Of course, to season food, make it taste a little better. So we should do that too. But we should help preserve one another. Each one of these kids has a destiny. Amen. Something that God has put in them to do in their lives. I hope every one of them does something greater than I've done. Amen. And I believe they can. That's right. And that's why my life's devoted to salting these kids. And then I'm going to give them to Brad. And Brad is going to encourage them. But see, that's actually a fallacy as well. We want to look at the children's pastor and go, he's going to teach my kid that. So I don't have to. I get to cheat.
Come on. Say it every day. Come on.
It's a whole lot easier to teach your kid about God when they're getting it at home.
That's right.
Yeah. That's right. It's a whole lot easier for you to have God if you're getting it at home.
Come on.
Like I said earlier, I can get God at home. But coming here is where we get the encouragement to continue in that lifestyle. It's easy to say, I'm going to do this for other people. Bad. And they don't live right. They're acting like they do as well. But I come here because if I didn't, I couldn't live right. I come here because when you tell me, Derek, that was a good job, or Derek, you can do better, because I know you can do better. Derek, that was really cool, but man, I'm so ready to see what you're going to do next. That puts in my heart something to birth something greater. And that's what I want to do for every person here. And that's what I want you to do for every person you meet. Be the light. Don't be afraid.
About the covering, because it's still bright even when it's covered. But when you pull it off, the brilliance. I mean, it served two purposes. That cloth there, I mean, I would have burned my fingers. You know. Each one of us is light. Each one of us is salt. We can make one another better. Don't put it on Brad, myself, and Pastor, and Pat, and Ashley, the people that are in charge here.
Because we're coming here because we're screwed up too. I'm not here because I've already got it figured out. If that were the case, guess where I'd be? I'd be with Keon. Because God would be like, you know what, you got it figured out there. No. But obviously that's not the case. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I'm going to encourage each and every one of you to figure it out too. And that's what we're here for. Thank you guys.